I think NEA's position is very unique among healthcare investors, really for two principal reasons. The first is I really believe in our dynamic asset allocation model. I think having the ability to wade in heavy to a particular subsector when the time is right enables us to optimize our returns in those subsectors and to back off when they become too competitive, too hot, or too bad. The other reason that I think NEA is uniquely adept at healthcare investing is our ability to play every instrument in the orchestra.
The beauty of being at NEA and the reason that I'm here is the ability to invest across multiple sectors within healthcare. So whether it's biopharma, medical devices, healthcare services, healthcare IT, but also across stage, because I think that's important, right? Whether it's starting up a company with a blank sheet of paper, to investing in later stage companies, to investing in public companies. And I think that the power of being able to do that is great. Sometimes it's better to be doing early stage biopharma investments. Other times it's better to be doing later stage device investments. And sometimes it's better to be doing public investments. And it really depends on where the markets are and where the opportunities are.
I still think it's a great time to be investing in biopharm, even though there's a new enthusiasm for the space. And I think that because having access to capital is critically important to being able to build great companies in biopharma in particular. And we can now, when we launch a company, have much greater confidence that we're going to have a healthy group of co-investors, that we're likely to have access to the IPO market, and that our buyers in pharma have, as we've expected, reemerged and become more voracious than ever to buy the innovation that we're creating.
This is a fantastic time to be in biotech. It's the best time of my 30 years in the industry because finally you can raise the type of capital where you can build a real business without giving it away to multiple partners. And that's a fundamentally different concept.
NEA is the perfect partner for an entrepreneur that hopes to build a multi-billion-dollar company, both because we have deep pockets and capital, and because we have patience and experience. It's a long journey. Adaptimmune is a great example of NEA's investing and company building process at work.
Adaptimmune is the world leader in engineering T-cell receptors for T-cell therapy in cancer. A T-cell receptor is the natural way a T-cell finds and determines what is a cancer cell and what is a healthy cell. If it finds it and decides that it's a cancer cell, it kills it. If it's a healthy cell, then it'll leave it alone and pass it on. So we're taking a natural system and we're simply making it able better to see the cancer cell by enhancing its what's called affinity through our engineering technology. The truth is that NEA found us before any other organization. Ali Babiani called us and said he wanted to come to see us before even we were on the road raising money.
The T-cell area has been an area that I've been interested in for some time. T-cell receptors are really hard, because essentially what you're taking is you're taking the immune cells out of a patient's body. You're re-engineering that immune cell with a receptor that can then go find the tumor, and then you're putting that immune cell back in. And that's a very hard, intensive process, but when you get it right, the results that you see can be truly transformational.
We have data from a number of cancers, principally from multiple myeloma and in synovial sarcoma. In the myeloma study, we had a complete or near complete response rate in the context of stem cell transplant of around 60%. And that's in quite a large group of 25 patients. The data have been announced at AACR in 2015. In the sarcoma trial, we're even more excited because this is a solid tumor, and this is where the CAR T cells and the other types of therapy have had enormous difficulty in making any impact. In our first 10 patients, we had 6 responses, 5 partial and 1 complete response, and that can be compared with a drug called Votrient, which is approved for synovial sarcoma, 11 patients out of 246. So we're very, very excited about that.
We ended up going into Adaptimmune last summer and catalyzing their first institutional round. We put 3 NEA investors on their board because our view was that they needed a lot of help, and they needed a lot of help in a hurry to bring this British company into a world-class institutional company that we expected, frankly, to be a billion-dollar public company in less than a year.
So we raised the capital because we're a very ambitious company, and it's going to take a great deal of capital to get where we need to go.
So NY-ESO-1 is in the clinic. That's going to get developed. That's partnered with GSK. But the company has 30, 40 other tumor antigens that they can go after. That's the power of this platform, and that's why it could be revolutionary one day.
One of the things that NEA is exceptionally good at is company building. And there's several great examples within the medical device portfolio where NEA played a fundamental role at every stage in the development of the company. One great example of a company building exercise is the process that evolved around and continues to evolve around a company called Oculeave. This is a company founded by one of my fellows at Stanford, a really brilliant guy who had a very unique idea as an approach for dry eye. He approached NEA, and really our resident expert in ophthalmology is Ali Bebahani. He worked with Ali, and we wound up backing this business really from the raw startup. Over the course of the last really couple of years, this project has evolved and really has produced 3 great innovations in the field of dry eye that are now drawing the attention of the major players in this space, which is really a multi-billion-dollar space. Whenever I think about what we should turn into a company, it has to begin with the impact on human life and really making a difference for people. After we've satisfied ourselves that there's a big opportunity, then the next place that we go is really looking at sort of what's it going to take? Can it work? Often a big cue that there's an opportunity is there's a gap in the marketplace. The incubator model is really a model that NEA pioneered. Explorimed really paved the way for understanding how to make an incubator model work in partnership with a venture fund. And what's fundamental to the process of Explorimed is really starting off with clinical needs. And that's really, if you look at our successful incubators, that's what they do. There's some really nasty big procedure that's sort of on one side, and then maybe there's some pharmaceutical or drug alternative that really doesn't really do much on the other side. And in between, there are patients suffering. A good example of that would be NeoTract. NeoTract is a company that is focused on benign prostatic hypertrophy, which affects a very large number of males over the age of 50 and results in really reduced urinary flow. So it's really impactful on quality of life. NeoTract is a technology that actually fits into that gap between surgery and drugs and really offers people an alternative to have a very effective treatment without the risks of major surgery, but with an efficacy that far exceeds anything that drugs could achieve.
It's a great time to be investing in medical devices. NEA has stuck with it while many others have gotten out. So our level of expertise, our network of entrepreneurs, and our awareness of the innovation that the buyers are looking for in the space is greater than it's ever been. Across healthcare, I would say that the number one determinant of success in our investments continues as it's always been to be the entrepreneurs that we back. Mohammed Makhzoumi, one of our partners in the healthcare services practice, started working several years ago with Rich Whitney, one of our longtime venture partners who'd been successful in a number of other companies, to try to go out and identify the new thing in healthcare services, where we could create a new business that didn't exist and that played to some of the megatrends that we saw coming to services.
So together we looked at a number of different opportunities. We got to know the space together. So it was natural when it was time to found Radiology Partners that we would do it together.
It was incubated inside our Menlo Park office, really between a partnership between Mo and Rich as they pulled the company together in the early days.
Radiology Partners is a provider of outsourced physician radiology services, mostly to hospitals, but also to independent imaging centers and clinics. One constant in the field of healthcare services over the last 3 decades has been a continual drive towards consolidation and aggregation of providers, payers, information technology providers into larger and larger organizations. In 10 years or so, radiology will look a lot different than it does today. In fact, instead of being characterized by an average practice size of 16 physicians, we're envisioning a world where there'll be 2 or 3 very large, multi-thousand physician practices with $1 billion or more each in revenue. When you're small, you can be ignored. A lot of great work is being done in all of these small practices around the U.S., but it can be ignored. What Radiology Partners offers in many ways to its physicians is an ability to impact the field on a much broader platform and actually have the ability to influence how radiology is practiced even outside of their own practice. That's what we mean about transforming radiology. We have a very interesting program right now where we have developed a best practice throughout our entire physician organization about the treatment of incidental thyroid nodules, having the ability to drive that compliance from 50% up to much closer to 100%. We have the opportunity to, number one, find more cancers, And number two, minimize resource waste within the healthcare system. Already today, we are influencing the care of almost 3 million patients per year.
All of our subsectors are really working. In biopharm, we understand diseases better than we ever have before, and we've gotten better at drug development. In medical devices, the regulatory environment has stabilized, and there have been very few people funding innovation in the last 5 to 10 years in devices. In healthcare services, we have new technologies bringing mobility to healthcare services and creating new opportunities, and we also have a completely new regulatory environment, which is creating tremendous opportunities. What we're seeking to do is we're seeking to take our experience, our access to capital, and our pattern recognition, and make the great entrepreneurs that we pick to back better than they would be without us being in the room. That's what we do.